Small block modifieds coming to life. 200 laps, 20 grand. Who's it going to be? We're going to find out. Doug and Vern, back to you.
200 laps, 100 laps a segment is what they'll run. The small block horsepower comes to life here on the front straightaway. Speedway, he knows the track well. He's been to victory lane before. He'd like to get there one more time. That, of course, today. Folks from This Week on Dirt, they're here. They'll be showing highlights of this race, of course, and really beginning of an exciting week of action here within the Central New York region. Dirt Week coming up next week. Of course, remember, the modifieds that did not make it into the field today will be back tomorrow. If a former winner of this event were to win tomorrow, they'd pick up an extra grand. Four-cylinder super stocks and IMCA modifieds will also be on the card tomorrow.
Race time, 2 o'clock on tomorrow's show. Gates opening at 10 o'clock. It's going to be a great show. We have 78 non-qualifiers that could possibly race at tomorrow's race, and a bunch of great names unable to make the 15th running of the Victoria 200. Drivers getting the car started out there. They're pulling in line over there on the back stretch. 200 laps coming at you in 2 segments. The first 100, and by the way, Kenny Drugs putting up extra $500 going to the person leading at the halfway point, plus another 100 from InsideGroove.cc, your Central New York racing information website, InsideGroove.cc. Also, the winner of the leader at the halfway point will be drawing today's 50-50 winners. We've got half the money going to some lucky winner out there. Also, some T-shirts, compliments of Kenny Drugs, and a...
Will do the charge.
Well,
so they will double them up here, bring them around, let the engines come up to temperature, let the drivers take that last look at the speedway.
Wipe that visor, adjust that 5-point harness. Grandma, fix it, and forget it. It's showtime!
Green flag comes out of the 15th annual Victoria 200. A.J. Romano and Todd Burley bring a star-studded field down the backstretch for the first time.
Down the back chute they ride, and it's going to be Romano. Hang on, Joe Posick, Bobby Farron together. Farron, he saves that. Oh, my. Everybody looking for a place to race. We've got a car around. Fed Cade in the number 12C. In turn number... Doug and I are going to take you for the first 15 laps, and then Vern's going to jump in with Doug, and I'll take a breather, and we're going to go back and forth like that, like you folks care. You're interested on the race.
That's
Here
right.
we go, one more time. A.J. Romano ready to drop the hammer. Todd the Tornado Burley right there. Jimmy Horton and the Doctor already up to 4th. Let's keep our eye on him.
Here they go down into turn number 1. Romano back on the gas.
Turn 4,
Got a
Doug,
car
turn
sideways. Kirk Horton, and they're going to start to pile in. Dan Miller also involved, and so is the youngster Dean Hogue, as we're under yellow once again.
Alex Hogue involved down there in the number 7H. As now Hogue, wow, Hogue on the ball as he got out in front of the leaders, but he better get moving, and he will. He will stay on the lead lap. A smart heads-up piece of driving by the driver of the Kepco, number 7H. And the rest of the field, well, they're going to have to regroup once again.
Yep, so Dan Miller and Kirk Horton have gone down laps. The leader went 5, even though they're pulling around. See the damage on the side of the 22.
Danny Johnson is now on the outside of row number 1. The Doctor started 6th. You Doctor fans out there, you've got to be happy because it looks like he is ready to prescribe 1 pass for the lead as they work their way off of turn number 4.
That's right. Swallow with water, apply liberally. Down they go into the front straightaway. Green flag back out as A.J. Romano is at the inside part of the speedway. Here goes Danny Johnson now. Johnson around the top side. New leader as they head to turn 3.
And on the move is the number 82 of Ronnie Hotshoe Holmes. He'll grab the 6th spot from the number 1 of Pete McNell as they drift off of turn number 4. First time around, we've got a green flag lap going. Timmy McCreadie working on hot shoes for the 6th spot as they go to turn 1.
Jimmy Horton 3 wide now. Look at Holmes go about as low as you can go on this racetrack. Driver of the Ralph's Collision, number 82, and your Utica Rome Speedway champion, Ronnie Holmes, now in the number 3 spot.
Hot Shoes making a statement here early, but don't burn off those Hoosiers, Hot Shoes, as he has got the Horton number 30 right behind him. This race is not only patience, but you've got to be aggressive, and right now he is looking to do the same as the Doctor, looking to open up a dozen as they go to 3.
Very hard racetrack, 100 laps is a long time. It's going to do a lot of damage to these Hoosier race tires. You got to pick and choose your moments to drive aggressively and burn off those tires.
Off the turn, Todd Burley working the high side around the number 30 of Jimmy Horton and Tim McCreadie right now. Running back there in position number 6. McNell is 7th. Tim Fuller is 8th. Joe Plazek is 9th. Billy Decker now takes that spot away, putting Plazek back to 10th.
Yep, nice move on the outside. Right ahead of them. They're 3 wide again for the number 4 spot as Tim McCreadie tries to get in the middle. But Jimmy Horton in the 30. Now we've got Hogue together on the inside of turn 2. And whoever that is with him, they just lost a lap over there.
They sure did, and they are pulling away as the Alex Hogue, number 7H, involved.
J.R. Hurlburt, the other car involved.
Yep, J.R. Hurlburt's number 46. And so we are 15 laps in. Vern Schmidt's going to jump in. These guys are going to carry up the lap number 30, and away we go.
A.J. Romano and the Doctor out there on the front row. Steve Rickett checking them over. 16 laps completed. Green flag back out as they take it up into turn 1 and 2.
Danny Johnson goes right up to the top side of the speedway. A.J. Romano says, sounds like a good idea to me, as he will go up there as well. Now Ronnie Holmes trying for second spot. 4 wide for 4th spot, heading into turn number 3 with Pete McNell on the bottom.
Jimmy Horton in the number 30 was in the middle of that, along with the 21 and the 89 of Todd Burley. 17 laps completed. Danny Johnson out there on the top side of the racetrack, stretching out his lead over the number 82 of Ronnie Holmes.
Still trying to get 4 wide back there. Now here's Pete McNell on the inside of Todd Burley. They race for the number 4 spot. They're 3 wide behind him as Tim McCreadie has now gone to the extreme bottom of the racetrack. That seems to be the fast groove here in the early going.
McCreadie way down low over there in turn number 1, trying to move himself up into the top 5, getting by the 89 of Todd Burley. Gets himself to the top 5, but Burley stays onto the throttle a little bit longer up into 2 and 3.
3 wide behind him now, as on the inside part of the racetrack is Billy Decker. On the outside of that green number 30 is Jimmy Horton, and in the middle is Tim Fuller. Here goes Tim McCreadie just ahead of them now, racing on the inside of Pete McNell for the number 4 spot.
Headed up into turn number 3. McCreadie down on the bottom of the racetrack. McNell into Pillsbury. Doughboy number 1 has dropped back to the number 5 position, decides to pull back behind McCreadie, and we've got a car stopped over there in turn number 2.
The 48, Darrell Ruggles, off the pace up high on the racetrack. Of course, the leaders did go by him, so Ruggles is ready to go back to racing. Lights off in the Carson Ford Mercury pickup. It will head to safety in the infield. Ronnie Holmes now in the front row, along with the Doctor, Danny Johnson, the Fonda Speedway champion, and the current Mr. Dirt Points leader, head to turn 1.
Green flag back out on the racetrack. Once again, Holmes takes it to the bottom of the racetrack. Johnson to the outside, and Johnson picks up a couple of car legs, taking it down the backstretch towards turn number 3.
4 wide again. Everywhere you look, they're 3 and 4 wide. This racetrack is just something here. One of the raciest places I've ever been. I'm having a ball. Danny Johnson is having fun right now, too, as he's up on the top. Nobody on the radio. Oh, Jim Mahaney way high down in turn 1. He's going to lose a bunch of spots.
He brings it back down onto the racetrack and gets it going again. Everybody stays clean. As your leaders come through turns 3 and 4, we'll put lap number 25 into the record books. Danny Johnson on a great run here. Has a dozen car legs over the number 2 driver right now. That is the 82 of Ron Holmes.
And right behind him, the 21 of Tim McCreadie, biding his time, knows it's a long way to go. Inside is probably a little bit easier on the tires than to slide the thing sideways through the top part of the track. A.J. Romano sits back there in 4th. You can still see the leader. We're watching the side-by-side battle for 5th as Todd Burley and Jimmy Horton go at it.
Burley down on the bottom of the racetrack. Horton in that number 30 up on the top side. They've got the Tim Fuller, number 19. Kitty Drugs Machine trying to make his way up through the field. He pulls alongside of Burley, trying to get into the top 6.
Tim Fuller, 3 wide. He's the sandwich meat right now as they come off of turn number 4. Just ahead of them, Horton is now put with the full Tavern car alone in the number 5 spot. Tim Fuller's down on the bottom side of the racetrack in 6th. Todd Burley has Jim Gabriel Jr. to contend with as Gabriel now gets into the mix.
Jim Gabriel just out of the top 10 when we gave the countdown a little while ago during that last caution, has moved into the number 7 position. Now doing battle with the 89 of Todd Burley. Behind them, the Pete McNell Pillsbury number 1 and Bobby Barron breaking into the top 10.
Working out of turn 2, now down the backstretch. The field works. Look at Bobby Barron. Remember, he got jumbled up a little bit on that first lap. Now Barron is making his way back through the field to the inside of McNell as Billy Decker watches from outside of him.
The 21 of McCreadie working his way around on the outside, had caught up with the 82 of Holmes in that battle for the number 2 spot, and now McCreadie takes it to the outside of the racetrack once again, coming through turns 3 and 4, and Danny Johnson has some slower cars in front of him.
Yeah, he's got J.R. Hurlburt right in front of him, and the Robidoux number 46 right there as well, and he's going to get them probably about the time they come in the front stretch. Race for second heating up, by the way, now, as Tim McCreadie in the 21 is going to the
J.J. Michaels
outside.
front stretch, guys, just whacked the tire off at turn number 4, front end damage. Keep your eye on that one.
J.J. Michaels is falling back through the field a little bit now as Danny Johnson starts to lap cars in traffic now. J.R. Hurlburt, who had already been down a lap, and the 46R of Robidoux also down a lap.
Ronnie Holmes and McCreadie running side by side in that battle for the number 2 spot. Romano out there running 4th. Fuller and Horton in their number 5 and 6 positions as they take them up into turns 1 and 2. Danny Johnson has, 3 cars in between himself and second.
And he has opened up quite a bit of real estate right now as the doctor running the high groove. He's got racing Jason Barney right there in front of him. This could be the great equalizer. Now, Timmy McCreadie tinkering with the high side as well. That's a Troyer chassis as he is running with the number 82 of Holmes right now as they battle for second and third. And McCreadie jumps the cushion. He loses a bunch of ground off the turn number 2 area.
McCreadie only loses ground but not position, is able to retain that number 3 spot. A.J. Romano likes that one. That gave him a chance to catch up just a little bit. Romano running in a number 4 position. That battle still behind him between Fuller and Horton for 5th and 6th.
That's a good one going on as they race up into turn number 1 and 2 as Bobby Barron now enters the mix, looking to go 3 wide off the turn as they battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Billy Decker and Jim Gabriel running in 8th and 9th. Steve Payne rounds out the top 10. Pete McNell runs in 11th.
Danny Johnson up there in turns 1 and 2 now has the 48 of Ruggles in sight. He's got now 4, 5, 6 cars in between himself and the number 2 driver, Ronnie Holmes, as they take it into 3 and 4.
And here comes McCreadie on the high side. He's got the 82 of Holmes boxed in behind Jason Barney. As Holmes slides up, blocks the way. He'll keep position number 2, but now Timmy McCreadie's going to try the inside groove as Holmes goes up a lane to get around the Barney number 87.
Barney in the middle of things, trying to keep himself from going even farther back in the pack. Holmes gets in front of him, in front of Barney, and now McCreadie takes it to the top side once again over there in turn number 4.
Danny Johnson on cruise control right now, running the top side of the speedway. Slower cars staying down low. We've got a car slowing off at turn number 4. Alan Johnson in the number 14J, the defending champion. He has got a right rear flat. Yellow lights are on. Alan Johnson in the 14J, a right rear
Very
flat.
difficult for the 2000 track champion.
Yes, right.
Green flag back out on the racetrack. Danny Johnson takes him up into turns 1 and 2. And Rod Holmes gets behind the slower car. Here comes McCreadie on the outside.
Yeah, McCreadie was trying to get that spot away, and he just might do it as Danny Johnson right there out of corner number 4. 4 wide. Oh, that's a picture-perfect sight. That is a Kodak moment.
Great job of driving by Rod Holmes. Takes it to the top side of the racetrack, back down to the bottom side, moves up to the middle through turns 1 and 2, and tries to catch up with the Dr. Danny Johnson. He's got McCreadie right behind him. McCreadie pulls to the outside, looking for that number 2 spot through turns 3 and 4.
As they work off the turn, it is Johnson, followed by Holmes. The McCreadie 21. Oh, Kyle Jacobson, the 4 of A.J. Romano get together. Romano had the lift, otherwise his front end was going to magically disappear in front of him as they race off the turn, and Billy Decker is on the move. 4 wide off the turn. Plasek, Phelps, and the rest of the Colorful Crew Academy fantastic character. Brett Hearn has now moved up to the high side of the speedway, and he is on a mission as he brings the Briosky number 20 off the turn.
What a great race we have going here. Danny Johnson takes it down the backstretch. Holmes in that number 2 spot. McCreadie running third, and we've got trouble over there in turn number 1. Steve Hulsizer.
He better get it fired up if he wants to stay on the lead lap. Here comes Danny Johnson. Hulsizer trying to get it running. Oh boy, Danny takes action. Oh boy.
Caution flag coming out on the racetrack.
Let's run it down for you. Danny Johnson, your race leader. The 82 of Ronnie Holmes running in second. The 21 of Tim McCreadie is third. Billy Decker coming from the 20th position. Right now running in the 4th spot. Jimmy Horton is 5th. Keep your eye on that red number 1, the B&F General Machine car of the Franklin Flyer.
Pace truck pulls down onto the infield. Johnson into the throttle. Steve Rickett lets that green flag fly, and we put lap number 51 into the record books.
They head down into turn number 1. Danny Johnson now working the extreme top side of the racetrack. Timmy McCreadie trying to clear the slower car of John Barker Jr. Ronnie Holmes pulls right up. A couple of cars out of shape. Tim Heinley's 1H now off the pace as they work down the back straightaway.
Coming out of turn number 4, Danny Johnson running in that number 1 spot with a half a dozen car lengths in front of the 21 of McCreadie. Now Holmes is taking his car to the top side, and he has the 1 of Billy Decker right behind him. Jimmy Horton running into number 5 spot, fair into 00, run 6, and we've got a car going down onto the infield.
Yeah, we saw Tim Heinley run into troubles over there in turn 1 and 2. He's done the right thing, pulled it down. So's Johnny Barker as he has taken it to the infield as well. And a nice gentlemanly move on their part as we stay green.
Now Billy Decker on the high side of the racetrack. Bobby Varon in the 00 looking to take over that 5th position as they head down the backstretch, but Decker able to get into the throttle and retain that spot. Jimmy Horton running in that number 4 position. Here comes Decker down on the inside looking for 4th, and no, Horton is able to hang on.
Jimmy Horton doing a nice job in the Pole Tavern number 30, using that upstairs groove out of turn number 2. Unlike a lot of the other guys, he's not going all the way to the top, though, almost top middle if you want to call it that. And here comes Billy Decker now, right back to the inside. Bobby Barrett, and now Steve Payne getting into the mix as well.
Yeah, Steve Payne pulling into the number 7 position out there on the racetrack, getting by the Ruggles 48. Ruggles is down at least 1 lap as your leaders head down the backstretch. A dozen for the Doctor.
Yep, big lead now, starting to stretch it out. Billy Decker is still putting a lot of pressure on Jimmy Horton as now everybody's moved to the bottom part of the racetrack off of 4. Here's Steve Payne now, also ready to make a move as they head to 1, trying to get to the inside of Bobby Barrett.
Payne down on the bottom of the racetrack, and Bobby Varon running down the middle groove as they take him down the backstretch into turns 3 and 4. Billy Decker in the number 1 down on the bottom, and a 30 of Horton in that battle for 4th.
Boy, I think Decker is going to complete that pass, but it may take him about 4 laps to do it. He's inching just a little bit more ahead each and every time. Watch now as he comes out of turn 2, as he's trying to get that 4th spot. He may actually be scored in that when they come around this time.
As your leaders go by, Danny Johnson has caught up with the slower traffic once again. It only took 6 laps for him to do it. Now Johnson moves to the top side of the racetrack once again as he gets around the 47. And here comes McCreadie. He's going to have the same traffic.
Yeah, he's going to go up. Car around in turn 4. That is the Don Lawson, number 18, facing the wrong way. He had been lapped a time earlier in this race, and now he'll find himself down yet another lap. 7th caution of the race now, 54 laps.
Fixed precision motor underneath the hood.
Green flag ready to come back out. 64 laps completed. Danny Johnson slides way up on the start. Tim McCreadie's going to have a run at him now, down in 1.
As they go up to the turn, McCreadie stays glued to the inside. Jimmy Horton right there. Here comes Tim McCreadie. He's looking to put the Doctor back to the number 2 position, but the Doctor won't have any of that as they go into turn number 3 and 4. McCreadie stays low. The Doctor up high as they come off the turn.
Way high off of 4. Here's McCreadie down to the inside. They'll cross the line together and head down to turn number 1. The Doctor, Danny Johnson. And now McCreadie gets a run as they come out of turn 2.
And McCreadie, the Haru excavating number 21, puts it up in front by a nose, but Danny Johnson stays right there. The number 30 of Jimmy Horner right there for the 3rd spot. Hot Shoes runs in 4th. Hurricane Steve Steve Payne is now up to the 6th spot, battling with the Varon 00.
Yeah, Varon trying to hold on to that top 5. Now you see ahead of them, Danny Johnson getting a little bit better run, but boy, he is really running up high on the back straightaway. Almost caught the wall that time as they came out of turn 2.
And Hot Shoes now back underneath the number 30 of Horton as McCreadie in the green lumber coat. Car working on the doctor coming down to shut the door. That could be the mistake that Timmy McCreadie was waiting for. The doctor's been running up high, and McCreadie looking to stay on the inside for the lead.
Hey, you can't blame him for wanting to get down there and see if he can beat him to the spot. But what an interesting line. He takes on at turn 4. Tim McCreadie crosses the line right with him. Behind them, Holmes and Horton are battling for third, racing everywhere you look.
The doctor pushes up McCreadie, trying to complete the pass. You know, if he gets up far enough, he's going to drift up. But he didn't that time, as Danny stays right there on the high side. And he slides right up the top of the turn. Timmy McCreadie off the corner. It's going to be McCreadie on lap number 59.
Yep, Tim McCreadie as your leader on lap number 69. They work now on the back straightaway. McCreadie is in front. Danny Johnson, see how high he runs out of turn 2 again, almost hitting the wall. But now they get into traffic. They always tell the slower cars, go to the bottom. Guess what? Tim McCreadie's running the bottom.
And we've got everybody scattering around looking for a place to race. And back in the pack, Brett Hearn is on the high side of the speedway. And A.J. Romano as well as they try to work their way up. And now Timmy McCreadie, his time to shine. Asked him earlier, could this be his year? He's ran good in the last couple. He just kind of shrugged it off and he said, we won't know until the checkered flag falls.
Yep, that's a racer for you right there. Didn't want to make any bold predictions. This is not like the NFL. You're trying to suck people off by saying how good you are because they'll beat you here. Now here comes Danny right back around as McCreadie gets caught in traffic.
Yeah, you've got to pick your line carefully trying to get around these slower cars. Danny Johnson keeping the R's wound up tight on the high side. Pinched McCreadie down behind the Robodone, number 2046, and is able to grab the lead back. Jason Barney running the same groove as McCreadie as they race off at turn number 2.
Danny Johnson was your race leader last time, so now they've swapped the lead a couple of times. They'll put Jason Barney down 2 laps now, and look how close they run out of turn number 4. Neither one of them running away from the other as we're coming up on 25 to go in that first segment.
Yeah, Danny moved down to the inside. He knows that's where McCreadie's best is, taking that lane away off the turn. McCreadie able to stay right with him. Now the doctor pulls away by about 2 car lengths, but the great equalizer coming again, and now McCreadie's going to try the high side. Let's see what he has on the top side.
Kind of wonder if with the radios, if Danny Johnson might have gone down there a little earlier to try to block that situation, but now he's got to make that decision by the seat of his pants.
Off the turn right now, and his pants are telling him, go fast, young man, turn left, as they go up into turn 3 and 4, picking and choosing his lane. He knows he can run the high side right now, and he just found he can run the low side. He'll drift up top, bounce it off what cushion there is, and bring it across the stripe, winding it up, putting Higbee and Phelps and the 30 of Schmidt down a lap.
Johnson way up on the high side of the racetrack, putting several people down a lap as they go down the backstretch. Right now, there's 3 cars between himself and McCreadie. McCreadie's still running that bottom outside line. He's boxed in by cars as they come down the front straight.
Yeah, and he's got his work cut out for him. He's got the Jacobs 37 and the Higbee number 97. Now McCreadie's going to go to the extreme high side. Let's see how he does off the turn. A little bit of a bobble, not there. Oh, Kyle Jacobs drifted up, almost took the top of the nose off as they go up into turn number 3 and 4. If McCreadie wants to stay with Johnson, he's going to have to run the top side.
Ron Holmes still running in that number 3 spot, keeping it down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Horton and Barrett battling it out for 3rd and 4th. And Tim Fuller is running 6th in the number 19. He has the number 1 of Billy Decker behind him.
And now McCreadie able to get to the bottom of the speedway. That's where the car's working best for him right now. The doctor obviously working best on the top side as we have completed lap number 78, and the doctor still showing the way. McCreadie running in 2nd. 3rd position belongs to Hot Shoe Holmes in the 82. 4th is Barron's 00. 5th is the 30 of Horton. 6th is the Kinney 19 of Fuller. 7th is the 1 of Decker. 8th is the Coffee 32C. 9th is the 7X of Steve Payne. And rounding out the top 10, I do believe, is the Pat Ward 42P.
This time around, we'll put lap number 80 into the record books. Ted Ladd going down a lap as Danny Johnson has all kinds of traffic in front of him, including the FX1 of Frankie Caprera. And let's see if he can make the move to the outside. Oh, there's somebody there.
Don Scarborough. Right there, the Brandon Bandit, as he races on the top side of the speedway. Timmy McCreadie knows that the FX1 and the gang are in front of the 27 Jaya Johnson. He'd like a chance to get up there and race with him, but right now Teddy Lamb is giving him fits as they race off at corner number 2.
McCreadie trying to get by the L82 of Ted Lamb, and now Lamb drifts up in front of him as McCreadie was trying to go to the outside to get around the L82 of Ted Lamb, and Johnson has put a couple of more cars between himself and the number 2 driver, McCreadie.
Timmy McCreadie's car is not working that well in the middle to the higher portion of the speedway. That car wants to stay on the bottom. That's where they have it set up for. When this 100-lap time period comes around where they can make some changes, they may do some work to maybe free that car up a little bit more so they can work on the top side, because right now the doctor's just having his way getting by Billy Wilcox in the 19W.
McCreadie has a couple of cars, Ted Lamb and the one of Donnie Wetmore between himself and the number 3 driver, Rod Holmes. And coming up behind him, Bobby Varon is in the number 4 position in that 00, has the number 19 of Fuller and the 30 of Horton running 4th and 5th.
Danny just got stuck and tagged in the right rear as they race their way up into the turn, and Tim McCreadie wants to close back in. Johnson, better watch it, going down there in the infield, putting those left tires down, and Danny a little bit off the pace as compared to what he's been before, and Timmy McCreadie back with an eye shot as they go to turn 1.
It only takes one hit of those implement tires and your day is over. That is right, Shane. You got to keep it not that far down on the bottom. 3 wide going into turn number 3 over there, and as Danny Johnson tried to put some more cars between himself and the 21 of Tim McCreadie.
And Timmy McCreadie working his way through traffic. Behind them, Hot Shoe Holmes still running in 3rd. And now Fuller's 19 challenging the 00 of Valern for position number 4. As they work down the back straightaway into turn number 3, Barron holds on to the spot, but the 19 of Fuller right there, 3 wide behind him with Horton, Coffey, and Higby.
Horton, Coffey, and Higby battling out for the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Yes. I'm sure they would be a good one. Let's see, where's the leader? Over there on the backstretch, Danny Johnson, 1, 2 cars.
Leader working into some pretty serious traffic down on the inside part of the speedway. Tim McCreadie can see the leader as he works out in turn number 1. Mike Colston is next in line for Danny Johnson as he continues to make that bottom side work.
Danny Johnson down on the bottom side of the racetrack now. He was running the top side in the first 75 laps. He sees that McCreadie is down there and has shut the door on McCreadie, put a couple of car lengths between himself and McCreadie right now. Johnson had a great run.
Big difference, I think, at this point, Vern, is that Danny Johnson's car seems to work top or bottom. Tim McCreadie's car only seems to work the bottom.
That's very, very true, Doug. Okay, let's check that bell. Caution light coming out onto the racetrack. Apparently some debris on the track somewhere.
Nope, car slow. Dan Miller was slow in the back straightaway, and that's why the yellow came out. 84 laps completed, and that is caution number 8 on the day. That's right, Shane. You're almost married. You don't talk about that anyway.
Lights off on the racetrack. Pace truck pulling down onto the infield. Green flag is back out. We have 8 laps to go to the halfway point of this 15th running of the Victoria 200.
Danny Johnson down at the bottom. Tim McCreadie sticks down there as well. Look at Ronnie Holmes trying to make his way through some traffic as he tries to get to the inside of the Keith Hoffman car. Bobby Barron running back and forth. Tim Fuller in 5th, and Vic Coffey's been there all day. He sits in the number 6 spot.
A lot of racing still to go. Johnson puts his half a dozen car lengths between himself and the 21 of Tim McCreadie. Here comes the 82 of Ron Holmes down on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get by the 7 machine as they take it down the backstretch. And Bobby Barron is in that battle with the number 19 of Doug Fuller for 4th and 5th. Oh, Joe Plozek.
Yep, he's pulled down in the infield, and his day is done as candidate Joe will have to wait for yet another day to be a Victoria 200 winner.
Meanwhile, your leaders taking out of turn number 2 down the backstretch. Johnson and McCreadie running 1 and 2. The 82 of Holmes running in that number 3 spot. And as we come around, we'll have 6 laps to go here to the halfway point.
Well, I tell you, Tim McCreadie getting through the corners better than Danny Johnson. He's really able to close on him through the corners, but then once they hit the straightaway, that's where the gap from first to second grows, as Danny maybe a little bit better on the gear there as he's getting the power down on the racetrack a little smoother.
Holmes running in at number 3 spot right now. Barron is 4th. Tim Fuller running in the number 5 position. Behind him, I believe that's going to be the 7X of the Hurricane, Steve Payne, running 6th.
Yep, and then right behind Payne, Vic Coffey in 8th. Billy Decker racing with Jimmy Horton for the number 9 spot. And then I believe after that we have to look back a ways to find, I believe, Brett Hearn, next one in the top 10.
As they come around turn number 2, 97 laps completed. This time around, they'll get the 2 to go.
I saw that 4 wide in the front stretch with Gus Schmidt on the outside. I didn't think they were going to make it through. I don't know how they did. Jim Gabriel, I thought he was going to get his front end run over that time. Their leaders are working down into 1. Whether they'll get to lap anybody else here before the end is doubtful, with Tim McCreadie really staying with Danny Johnson pretty well at this point. They head to turn number 3. This will complete, I believe, lap number 99, and the yellow will come out, and Tim McCreadie says, hey, I better go up here and see what this car is going to do to see if we might want to make some changes to it later.
And that's exactly what McCreadie has done. He's taken it to the top side of the racetrack. Let's see what kind of a run he can get off the corner. Can he catch the 27, Danny Johnson? No, he cannot. Now Johnson has a couple of slower cars in front of him. Todd Burley, the 87. This time around, they'll get the caution flag. Danny Johnson going to be credited with leading the halfway point here at the Victoria 200.
Yellow lights.
So, we are at the halfway point. Oh, you broke it, didn't you, Vern? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The changes have been made. The drivers are ready. We're ready to go back to racing one more time. The final 100 laps for the Victoria 200. One more time. We're going to let them turn off a corner number 4. The doctor drops the hammer. Timmy McCreadie on the high side. Here comes Hot Shoes down low looking for second.
Ronnie Holmes thought about getting down there, but Tim McCreadie had other ideas. Now Holmes gets a run on the inside of him out of turn 2. They go side by side, battle for second. Now heads to turn 3.
You know who's sitting in a pretty good spot right now is the number 20 of Brett Hearn. He has been working his way up through the pack, rounding out the top 10 on the high side. Let's see if it comes around for him as they complete lap number 101.
Yep, he is just working the top, hoping everybody else goes to the bottom. They probably made some changes on the setup on that car, hoping that he can do that. Otherwise, why would he go to the top this early? Now here comes Tim McCreadie, right back trying to get to the outside of Ronnie Holmes, who's having just a great day here today.
And Tim Fuller working on the McCreadie number 21. These two buddies are buddies by day, but now on the Speedway, they're out for the big cheese as they work off the turn. And Hot Shoes opening up some car lights on the McCreadie 21.
Does he have anything for the doctor? What a shocker that would be if Ronnie Holmes could get up. But if you go to a lot of races, maybe not as much shocker as you might think. Tim Fuller runs right behind there in 4th. Now Steve Payne in 5th. And the 32C of Vic Coffey looking to pick up a spot now as he gets to the outside of Payne.
We got a car slowing. Turn at number 4. The Kirk Horton number 7K. Slowing here on the front stretch as the field works their way off the turn. And Horton is limping on the high side of the track. Kirk Horton, as the field comes by, yellow lights are on.
Thought for a second that they might be able to keep going, but not the case. So Kirk Horton brings out the caution. First one of the second 100
drops the hammer, and it's a battle to get down low right now between McCreadie's 21 and the Hot Shoes number 82, as Hot Shoes looking to win the drag race to the turn to hold on to the runner-up position. Hang on to it, Ronnie. Let it fishtail a little bit. That's going to hurt him as McCreadie dives down to the inside. The battle for second as they go to 3.
Cooler tires makes the car a little slicker, makes the back end kick around a little bit more. That's what happened to Ronnie Holmes out of turn 2. Tim McCreadie was right there. He'll be scored in second spot.
Billy Decker working on the Steve Payne number 7X right now for position number 6 as Decker takes the spot away as he's the first one around the slower car, the 21 of Jim Mahaney, as they race down into 3 and 4. Now Tim Fuller on the high side of Hot Shoes looking for a place in the pie for the 3rd spot as they race down the front stretch.
Pie. You know, also having a nice run out there is Vic Coffey sitting in that number 5 spot. Here's a guy also who kind of in the same situation as Ronnie Holmes, I think, is right on the edge of becoming one of the top drivers on the circuit. Vic Coffey just a couple of wins away now, running in that number 5 spot, doing a great job.
And Danny having his way right now on lap 111 as he brings it across the stripe. He's got a dozen on the McCreadie number 21. Hot Shoes still showing shown in the place position, or the show position actually, as the number 19 of Fuller brings it off the turn, running in fourth. And Brett Hearn on the high side starting to wind it up tight.
Yeah, he is. He's working on Bobby Barron right now as they head into turn number 3. And look at this, 3 wide now as they've got Scarborough down on the way inside part of the speedway. And you see Brett Hearn, he's just passed Bobby Barron.
And he is now working on the Ricky number 76. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm saying he might be up to position number 8. As they race off the corner number 2, as your race leader, the Doctor, brings him across the stripe to complete lap 113.
Yeah, Ronnie Holmes, I've noticed as we watch him in number 3 spot right now, car not sticking as good to the inside of the speedway as it was, and he's also not getting out of the corner like he was in that first 100 lap second. And now, also moving up is Vic Coffey, as he has moved around Tim Fuller. So Vic Coffey at Sweeteners Plus Ride, running well. He's starting to pick his way through the field.
And Timmy McCreadie biding his time right now, but he wants to stay with the Doctor as they race off of corner number 2 in slower traffic as they come off the turn, as the Doctor will get by Kel Robideau as they go up into turn number 3 and 4.
You know, sometimes when you get into traffic, it can be a little bit of an advantage to be the second place car, because you can kind of see where the leader's going and then try to figure out, hey, is he going to get slowed down? Maybe I should go to the outside. But Tim McCreadie, yeah, he likes being in second and watching Danny. He'd probably just like to be a little closer right now.
Well, Danny Johnson has the 87 of Jason Barty in front of him and is able to get by him. Now he has a couple more slower cars in front of him over there in turns 3 and 4. Let's see how that pans out as we go through a complete lap 116.
Yeah, these slow cars just can't stick on the inside of the racetrack like the race leaders are, so even if they try to run the bottom, leaders just go right by them. Jerry Higby's called it quits. The 97H, the driver from the Orange County Fair Speedway, heads to the pit area, and his day may be done.
Brett Hearn way up on the top side of the racetrack over there in turns 1 and 2 has Alan Johnson and Jim Mahaney in front of him as he's trying to catch up with the second 7X machine of Steve Payne as they come across the line. Danny Johnson over there coming around turn number 2 has, at least 15 car lengths over the number 2 driver, McCreadie.
Race right now is for the number 5 spot. Billy Decker, look at that move, as he is on the outside of Tim Fuller and on the inside of Jason Barty. Fuller went a little bit too low that time through the corner. He will keep the number 5 spot, but Billy Decker is now all over it.
Side by side in that battle for position between Fuller down on the bottom of the racetrack and the Kitty Drugs number 19 and the one machine of Billy Decker, as they've got some slower cars in front of it. Well, not including, but they also have the Vic Coffey number 32 running around, and Coffey starting to catch up with the number 3 driver right now, that Ronnie Holmes.
Yeah, well, Coffey, they've made the right twisted turns on that car. And remember, a few laps ago, Billy Decker was outside of Tim Fuller, looked like he had him. Now he's about 4 car lengths behind. Also, got to tell you, Vern, the 20th place car, A.J. Romano, they must have missed the twisted turns they were hoping, as he has just been put down a lap.
Oh, I hate when that happens. 120 laps into the record books, and what do we got going on over here? I see people clapping. Danny Johnson gets by a bunch of people over there on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Race leader coming out of turn 4 has moved around Roger Phelps, putting him yet another lap down. Timmy McCreadie's having a little tougher time here. He's caught up behind the Hogue 7H as they work out of turn 2, and Roger Phelps is right there as well. So Timmy McCreadie probably in a car right now going, come on guys, I got to go here, let me by. And now he clears the Hogue car, but Danny Johnson's starting to pull away a little bit here. 122 laps now completed.
Ron Holmes still running in that number 3 position. He's running behind the 7/8 of Alex Hogue, and currently running 4th, the Sweeteners Plus number 32 of Vic Coffey. And here comes Tim Fuller down on the inside, looking to take over that spot away from Vic Coffey.
Trying to get underneath. Now he puts the wheel underneath, gets another couple of inches, muscling his way to the inside. A.J. Romano is right ahead of them. He was just left, and Billy Decker watches this. 3 wide now. They will go for the number 4 spot.
What a battle we've got going coming out of turn number 2. Coffey, the meat in the sandwich, as you put it earlier. And Billy Decker's going to follow him right through, and they both get around the 19 of Fuller and move themselves up a position.
We're watching now as your race leader getting on to Todd Burley now. The 18th place car of Todd Burley has watched. The leader has gone by him. So Danny Johnson getting to some guys that were able to run the first 100 laps and stay on the lead lap. Now he's putting everybody down.
Great race as they come out of turn number 4. Johnson has 3 cars wide in front of him. The FX Caprera number 1 machine is the one most prevalent in front of them. As they come around, they're going to get by the 91 of Holsizer, put him down another lap, or at least try to. And Johnson just boxed in by those 3 cars.
The guy who's really surging out there right now is Brett Hearn. He's been high one time through one corner, low the next time, trying to look for anything that he can find to get quicker. J.R. Herbold, by the way, is the car that's headed towards the pit area, so J.R. will call it quits as something going wrong with that car.
What Brett Hearn's looking for right here is a caution flag so he can catch up with the rest of the cars in front of him. And right now, Danny Johnson coming around turn number 4, getting ready to put lap 127 into the record books. And they do that. Johnson takes it to the outside of the racetrack, trying to get around those slower cars. Whoa, and way high goes Steve Holsizer over there at turn number 2, and he brings it back down on the racetrack. Right now, your number 2 driver of the 21 of Fuller, and Roger Phelps in the 99 takes his car into the pit area here in lap 129.
Roger Phelps was lapped during that first 100 lap period, and your race leader Danny Johnson, as we look for him midway down the back straightaway, has gone around Darrell Ruggles. He's also gone around the 55 of Rich Rickey. So Rich Rickey is now down a lap as well after going 129 laps right there with him.
Right now, 6 cars in between the first-place driver, Danny Johnson, and your second-place driver, the 21 of Tim McCreadie. And let's look for third. Where's third? Oh, it's way back there. Ronnie Holmes still running it in. Oh, no. Billy Decker has gotten by the 82 of Holmes and moved himself into the number 3 spot.
And Billy Decker working his way through slower traffic as he's got a bunch of cars to get by if he wants to race with the second-place car of Tim McCreadie. Right now, the Doctor having his way. McCreadie second. Decker is third as he is boxed in behind cars, and he's got the Hot Shoes 82 running in 4th. Vic Coffey is 5th. Fuller is 6th. Payne is 7th as they go to turn 3 and 4.
Your leader is coming around right now, going up through turns 1 and 2, has put Ted Land down another lap as he did Ryan Bay. And now Tim McCreadie only has a couple of cars between himself and the first-place driver up there, Danny Johnson.
And the 16th place car of Jim Gabriel Jr. about to fall victim to the lap counter as the Doctor works on him going up into turn number 1 and 2. Danny Johnson on a mission this night, looking to win his first Victoria 200 as he now gets by Gabriel heading into 3.
Gabriel trying to stay from going a lap down, keeping it up on the top side of the racetrack, trying to keep his RPMs up, but not going to be able to do it. Danny Johnson is able to put Jim Gabriel Jr. down a lap. Here comes your second-place car going by. Oh, where is he? There he is. That's the number 21 of Tim Fuller.
Tim McCreadie running back there in position number 2. Hot Shoe Holmes is back there in position number 4, trying to reel in the number 1 of Billy Decker, as Decker right now closing in off the top of the speedway. Is Holmes right there to challenge as they race off of corner number 4. Hot Shoes takes a run down to the inside, but Decker able to hold him off. And the Doctor having trouble getting by Vic Nell as the 21 of McCreadie able to inch in.
Billy Decker trying to stay out there, trying to get by the FX1 machine of Frankie Caprera. Decker running it at number 3 spot out there on the racetrack right now and trying to get by the slower cars that are in front of him as we put lap 135 into the book.
And Danny Johnson down on the inside of Jimmy Phelps looking to put him down a lap. He'll do so. Tim McCreadie starting to get in as we work off the turn. Ronnie Holmes has a broken left front 82 as the tire is bent right over. I'll bet you he got an implement tire that bent that front left tire right over on the Hot Shoes machine. Yellow lights are on.
Yeah, I noticed it as he came out of turn 2, Shane. He must have caught the tire over there. Ronnie Holmes was having a great run, was running in 3rd place. That's going to put him in the pits and end his chances for a win in the Victoria 200.
And Ronnie Holmes had a great race going back there in position number 4. He's been in the top 3 the whole night. Billy Decker was just able to get by Mitch Gibbs in the number 7, going pit side in the steel.
Bobby Barron, 11th, Jimmy Horton, and I believe Jim Gabriel Jr. 12th, and then Jimmy Phelps 13th. All those cars on the lead lap. Unofficial.
Green flag back out on the racetrack. Danny Johnson tries to stretch his lead. Right now, your number 2 driver, the 1 of Billy Decker, battling it out with the 1 of Pete Bicknell as they come through turns 3 and 4. Steve Holsizer still running that high outside groove up there, but Holsizer down at least 1 lap.
And Billy Decker may have something for the top 2 cars running the middle groove right now, drift up just a bit. as he is in the third position and closing in on the McCreadie number 21 for position number 2. Behind them, everybody looking for a place to race is Vic Coffey now shown in position number 4.
As they take it up into turns 1 and 2, McCreadie down just a little bit lower than Danny Johnson as they come around and just able to get a nose out. And we've got trouble
Jim
over
Gabriel
there. Turn number 4. Jim Gabriel Jr. has started to slow down. Coming through turn number 4. Let's see if
right rear flat.
Yeah, that'll do it every time. And Jim Gabriel Jr. will put an end to his night over in the pit area. Maybe come back out, but he's going to go down laps.
144 laps are in, 56 laps left to do. Here we go. One more time. Carson Ford Mercury Pace Truck. Ron DiUlio behind the wheel. Out of harm's way as the doctor drops the foot to the firewall. Timmy McCreadie right there with him, and the number 1 of Billy Decker as they come across the stripe. Lap 145 is complete.
Danny Johnson takes him up into turns 1 and 2. Decker on the outside, and then red number 1 trying to get by the 21 of McCreadie as they take it down the backstretch. And look at
wow, look at Brett Hearn. He is on the move in the Brioski number 20, just going by Pat Ward and Steve Payne from 8th up to 6. And Darryl Ruggles knocks him out of the groove as they go off of corner number 2.
What a job of driving by Brett Hearn. Brings it back down on the racetrack, and Ruggles in trouble over there. Turn number 2 looks like he's going to put it in the pit area.
Brett Hearn is on the move. The Brioski number 20 is rising to the top of the field as he gets by the Ward machine, now putting him up to position number 5 as they race off of turn number 2.
Another car on the move, Steve Holsizer in the number 91 Adam Ross machine. He is down at least 1 lap. He's going to try to get it back. He is flying around the top side of that racetrack also.
And right now the doctor leads. Tim McCreadie second, but he knows Tim Fuller's right there. And those 2 cars have closed in on Johnson. Danny Johnson isn't pulling away like he was earlier on. Is Timmy McCreadie staying right with him? Top 3 cars nose to tail through corner number 3 and 4 as they come across the line.
Brett Hearn getting by Pat Ward, moves into the number 5 spot. Then the Barashi machine.
No race leader almost off of turn number 2. McCreadie took a dive to the inside. Sorry, Vern.
No problem. They take it up into turn number 3. And now 1, 2, and 3 through the turn. And here comes Coffey running it at number 4 spot, and Brett Hearn running 5th.
And the corporate jet is reeling in the Big Coffee 32C. Look at this battle for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Off the turn, the doctor still leads. Tim McCreadie right there as the number 1 of Decker still running in 3rd. We've got 50 laps to go, race fans. This is the time to shine off the turn.
Big Coffee running it at number 4 position, trying to reel in the 3 cars in front of him as they run 1, 2, and 3 around turn number 2. And Danny Johnson puts a couple of car lengths between himself and McCreadie. And here comes the number 1 of Billy Decker looking to get in that battle once again.
As they race off the corner, the doctor pushes up just a little bit, but McCreadie not able to take advantage as they go up into turn number 1 and 2. Now McCreadie starting to get through the corner a little bit better off the turn as the doctor takes him down into turn number 3.
None of these top 5 drivers ever getting a win here at the Victoria 200, so they are looking to get themselves into the record books. Danny Johnson puts lap number 159 into the books as they go by.
Off the corner, the doctor still leads by a little less than a car length over the 21 of McCreadie. Decker fading back about 6 car lengths to 3rd as they race off the corner. The Hearn number 20 feeling the pressure now from the 42P of Ward.
Holsizer way up high over the cushion over there in turns 1 and 2. Almost got crossed up in front of the 20 of Brett Hearn, but gets it straightened out, and they continue on down the front straight.
Yeah, about 5 laps ago, he blew right by Pat Ward. Have to wonder if running the top side of the racetrack as hard as he was, did he buzz those tires off, heat him up a little bit, because now Ward is driving away. Again now, McCreadie, who I think is quicker than Danny Johnson, draws right up on him.
Off the corner, the doctor still your race leader, and McCreadie, they're just running in the same lane, and there's not much McCreadie can do right now. He doesn't want to show his hand too soon, but the doctor right now looks like he might be holding up the 21, but he's the race leader, and that's where he wants to be.
Yeah, I definitely think he's holding him up right now, but like you said, he's in the groove. Tim McCreadie's running the same groove. Not much you can do. Tim, at this point, is going to watch the lap counter and wait to see what happens. Brett Hearn has changed lines. The top groove picked him up 3 spots, but then dropped him back a position. So now Hearn is gone on the inside, but as we watch his car through the corner, Shane, his car's not sticking like everybody else.
Timmy McCreadie going to the high side, using the pick and roll on the Johnson, number 27, with the Romano 4 car. Johnson, he's got to make his lane. Oh boy, here we go, race fans. Up into turn number 3 and 4. The Doctor looking to hold on. He'll do so off the turn.
Boy, did you see Daddy give a little shot to A.J. Romano as they went in turn 3? He says, come on, boy, I got to get going. You better get through there.
This ain't rolling wheels. Don't hold me up.
That's about it, too. Coming up on the Jimmy Phelps car, who unofficially at this point we believe is still on the lead lap and may be running in that number 12 spot. Well, guess what? He's not in the lead lap anymore as Danny Johnson has headed around him. So even if he was okay, well, no more.
And they work up into turn number 1 and 2, and the Doctor starting to pick his line down low once again. He's got a couple of cars between himself and the 21 of Tim McCreadie as they race down into turn number 3 and 4. And this is opening the door for Decker on the high side as McCreadie boxed behind the 99 of Phelps as they race off the turn. Decker, now your second place machine.
Boy, that was a nice move. He just got to the top side a little bit quicker, picked his way through, immediately goes right back to the bottom. He could see Danny Johnson in front of him, so Billy Decker bided his time, watched from third. He's now second.
And McCreadie moves up a lane. Let's see, maybe there's a faster groove up there for him. He hasn't moved off the bottom too much. As they race off the corner, he'll get by the Alex Hogue number 7H as he holds on to position number 3, but he's got to close in on that number 1 of Decker as McCreadie now gets by the lap car.
And Decker has actually closed the gap a little bit. Now look at him draw in on Danny Johnson as they head down into turn number 3. 3 wide they are as Vic Coffey, who is sitting in the number 4 spot, is really in some heavy traffic, and Pat Ward's going to work on him.
And Ward looking to the inside of the 32C of Coffey for position number 4. They go into the turn. Frankie Caprara, he is done in the Mannheim auction FX1. He pulls it pit side as the Doctor continues to lead him. Billy Decker right there closing in on him. And Decker may have something for him because he was able to run that middle groove. Let's see what he can do as they're in heavy traffic.
Boy, he definitely seems quicker right now. Danny Johnson, this is where he pulls away a little bit, is out of 2, but then when they come back into 3, that's where Decker closes the gap right back up. Got to mention as well that Jimmy Horton, who was running in 11th place, is now down 1 lap, so there are 10 cars in the lead lap. Next in line in danger of going down a lap is the 00 of Bobby Barron.
And Tim McCreadie closing right back in on the top 2 cars now as traffic is playing a part, the great equalizer as they go down into turn number 3 and 4. The Doctor right now picking his lane wisely, holding on to the inside. We haven't seen him on the top side of the speedway yet.
Haven't.
He was fast early on. What happens if he moves up there?
He just went up here on the front stretch.
Turn 4, we got cars together. Ryan Bay in the number 2 slowing as Brett Hearn just barely got by in the Briosky number 20.
165 laps completed, the 4th caution of the second 100 laps. 12th caution overall as Ryan Bay stops a Bobby Barron's 00, is the last car in lead lap, running 10.
Steve Rickett waves that green flag once again as we put lap number 169 into the record books. Danny Johnson takes it up into turn number 1, keeps it down on the bottom side of the racetrack. That's where your top 3 cars are running right now as they come out of turn number 2, head down the backstretch. Johnson's put a couple in between them.
Yeah, but Billy Decker has been quick, and now Tim McCreadie right back on the inside. I have a feeling you're going to see a 3-car freight train here in just a matter of moments. We'll see what happens. Danny run a lot different line here on the front stretch than he won before, as he's really trying to square off that corner, going right up to the start-finish line and diving it right to the bottom.
Big Coffee, your 4th place driver right now, trying to get around the 99J of Jimmy Phelps. And we get up 3 wide over there as Coffee in the middle and trying to move up through the pack of slower cars.
Big Coffee's had a solid run, a quiet 4th place finish. Hasn't really had anything for the leaders, but I think 4th place about where he's been. But here comes Steve Payne now. The 7X of Payne starting to draw in on him now as they work down the backstretch. The front 3 still run nose to tail.
The 21 of Tim McCreadie trying to reel in the 1 of Billy Decker. Thought he was going to get a little bit closer on the last lap, but he lost about 1 car length coming around, and Big Coffee has the slower cars lined up in front of him, has to get on the binders over there at turn number 2, but he says that's enough, I'll just blow by him here.
Boy, that was nice too, because Steve Payne was really gaining on him, and he knew that he had to hustle at that point. Did just that. Now he's got some lap cars as a cushion, and Steve Payne has company now as Tim Fuller is on his bumper heading into 1.
Brett Hearn getting by by the 7H of Alex Hogue, trying to get his way back up towards the front of the field. He's got a few lap cars in front of him. He's only a half a straightaway behind the leader right now.
That's Pat Ward, actually, who he's trying to get right now for 7th, as now he's right back up to the top side. Tires have cooled down a little bit. Says, hey, that bottom wasn't working. I better go back up here. Let's see what he does and runs the middle now and through 1 and 2.
Big Coffee over there on the backstretch gets by the 89 of Jason Barney. And they come by your leaders. 74 laps completed. We'll have 26 to go. And Billy Decker has only 1 car length between himself and your leader, Danny Johnson.
25 laps left to go. We're actually working on 176 here now as Danny Johnson. Boy, that's about as close as you can get to that implement tire coming off the corner. And, you know, keep in mind, as these guys sit in these modifieds, they cannot see the front tires. So it's truly just knowing exactly where you are.
As they come out of turn number 2 and head down the backstretch, about an equal distance between the number 1 driver. Coffee just going into turn number 3 as the leader goes across the start-finish line.
Meanwhile, we'll look back. Here's Vic Coffey running alone now in the number 4 spot. Kind of probably very comfortable for him right now to see a little bit of clean racetrack in front of him. I'm sure he'd like to pick up a few more spots, but certainly will smile when it comes around to tomorrow. He says, hey, I had a 4th place in the Victoria 200. But, of course, still many laps to go, 22 of them as a matter of fact.
Brett Hearn has caught up with the 42, Pat Ward, and Hearn way up on the top side of the racetrack. He is coming so close to that wall here on the front straight, and he is trying to get by that 42P of Pat Ward as they go up through turns 1 and 2.
Leader now getting into some traffic, and I got to tell you, Danny Johnson does not waste much time when he gets into traffic. If he does get the $20,000, the way he worked through traffic is going to be one of the main reasons for that.
Just getting by the 1M of Donnie Wetmore, and now the other one, the red number 1 of Billy Decker, trying to make his way through traffic to keep up with the leader, Danny Johnson, and the 21 of McCreadie. He's going to be in that traffic here very shortly.
Right behind him, we see that Decker is glued down on the inside, so is Timmy McCreadie. Vic Coffey's now gone to the extreme inside as he sits in 4th. Steve Payne trying to chase him. Tim Fuller still back to the number 7 spot. Brent Hearn's looking for a lane right now as he sits in the number 8 spot. Pat Ward in 9th. And here comes Tim McCreadie now starting to make a move on Billy Decker.
Billy Decker on the outside of McCreadie. McCreadie trying to hang on to it. They make a 10-lap sandwich over there in turn number 3. As they come out of turn number 4, your leader's going to go under lap number 182 going into the books here.
Boy, and Danny Johnson was driving away a couple of laps ago. Not anymore. Both Decker and McCreadie have started to draw in on him now, as not really that Danny Johnson's going any slower, but I think these guys behind him might be picking it up just a bit.
That's the way I see it right here too, Doug, as they come out of turn number 4. Johnson with a couple of cars between himself and the number 2 driver right now. Billy Decker in the 1, and then McCreadie in the 21 running in that number 3 spot, getting by the slower cars. The faster cars running down on the bottom side of the racetrack here in the second half. They take them up into turn number 3. This time around, we'll put lap 1.
Now, I tell you, this is a big race right here because Bobby Farron is in 10th place. He's the last car in the lead lap now. Let's see what Danny does down on the inside. They touched the last time on a turn 4. Let's see what happens now. Danny Johnson not quite by him yet. Bobby Farron holding on.
Bobby Farron trying to keep himself on the lead lap, and Danny Johnson taking it just as low as he can, and he is able to get by Bobby Farron. And now the 1 of Billy Decker has to do the same thing. He's got Farron in front of him, and he's got McCreadie behind him as they come out of turn number 2 and head down the backstretch.
It's getting crunch time now as we are closing in on the 14 lap to go mark, and the Dr. Danny Johnson, barring any incident right now, having a sensational run. 6 Grand Dan will now be known as 20 Grand Dan if he can hold on for another 14 laps, and right now he is having his way through traffic like hot knife through butter.
Vic Coffey and Steve Payne running 4th and 5th over there in turn number 2 as they come out of the turn. Vic Coffey trying to hang on to that number 4 spot. Here comes your leader by the start-finish line, and Danny Johnson, he's got quite a bit of a lead over the, and Barron comes together, the 1 of Decker is getting into the back of Bobby Barron over there in turn number 1.
And McCreadie on the high side, trying to use the pick and roll on the 0 car to get by the second place car of Decker. Off the turn, Decker able to keep the spot as Danny Johnson now has picked up the pace. He's got a half a straightaway lead, and now he works on Pete McNell off of corner number 2. McNell drifts up just enough. The Doctor down to the inside. He's going to put the Doughboy up off the turn number 4 area, down a lap as they race off the turn.
Actually, I think that'll put him down 2 laps, as he's been already put down a lap earlier tonight.
McCreadie grabs second at the stripe, and he has found something in the middle groove. Is it a little bit too late? Let's find out as the Doctor continues down the back straightaway, and Tim McCreadie and Billy Decker are boxed in on traffic as we are going to have 10 to go. This time by for the Doctor.
Danny Johnson has over almost a whole straightaway lead over the number 2 driver right now. Just went by us, and that right now is a 21 of McCreadie, and McCreadie a good move to get up in front of Hogan. Now they're side by side with Decker, and that battle for the number 2 spot as they take it up into turn 3.
And you know they're starting to buzz those tires because they want to get up there with the closing laps as we are 91 in and 9 to go. And the Doctor right now, he is in command as they bring it off the turn, and he is working on the 91 of Steve Hulsizer, while the 21 of McCreadie and the 1 of Fuller or the 1 of Decker are still battling, trying to get by the Bobby Barron 0 car.
McCreadie on the outside of Barron, looking for that to get by him and move up to where your leader is. Leader Danny Johnson already coming out of turn number 2, has 2, 4, 6, 7 cars between himself and a number 2 driver right now, that the 21 of McCreadie.
And Danny Johnson ticks off yet another lap. 93 down, 7 to go for Danny Johnson, looking to etch his name in the history books. The first brother combination possibly to win the Victoria 200. Let's see what happens. There's a lot of drama and a lot of time left in this one as the Doctor works off of corner number 4. Oh, so close to those implement tires. 94 and 6 is the count.
And Danny right down on the inside part of the speedway. Now Timmy McCreadie has put a pretty considerable distance between himself and Billy Decker, almost about 6 car lengths on the front straightaway. So Decker back in the number 3 spot. Coffey runs alone in 4th. You've got Steve Payne in the number 5 position. Tim Fuller still in 6th. 7th is Brett Hearn, and I believe at this point Chuck Bauer, last car to lead lap, running in 8th.
And the Doctor working on the Billy Wilcox, number 19W, as they go down into turn number 3 and 4. The Doctor, a little bit of a fishtail there, trying to get by the Wilcox machine. He'll clear him. Now he has open track in front of him for about a quarter of a straightaway, as we have 96 down and 4 to go for Danny Johnson.
Boy, look how smooth he is right now as Danny Johnson down on the extreme inside part of the racetrack. Didn't even try to bring it out next to the wall on the front straightaway. He wants to run that middle and maybe not get close to those implement tires as he's been getting it, as I say that, right back down next to it. And they come out at turn number 4. Danny Johnson has 3 laps left to go. They're working lap number 198 as his lead continues to grow. Meanwhile, Timmy McCreadie stretching out the distance between himself and Billy Decker, who runs back in 3rd. If there's going to be a race, it's going to be for 4th. Here goes Steve Payne now, trying to get to the inside of Vic Coffey, and he may have him now as they head to turn 3. 2 laps now to go for Danny Johnson as he works through 3 and 4. We're watching the battle for 4th now as they come off of turn 4. Vic Coffey has the spot, but the Hurricane, Steve Payne, has been putting a lot of pressure on him. Your race leader now comes out at turn number 4. 199 laps completed. The Sweeteners Plus ride of the Doctor, Danny Johnson, looking for his first ever Victoria 200 win. He'll take it down the back straightaway now. Don Scarborough is the slower car in front of him. Shouldn't play a factor here as Danny will probably just pedal this thing around on the inside part of the racetrack. Checkered flags wave. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 15th annual Victoria 200 is Danny Johnson. Second spot across the line is Tim McCreadie. 3rd is Billy Decker. Steve Payne unofficially in 4th. Vic Coffey in 5th. Tim Fuller comes across in the number 6 spot. Brett Hearn in 7th. And I believe the last car to lead left, actually Pat Ward in 8th position, and then Chuck Bauer, unofficially the last car to lead lap, in 9th place. So the Doctor has made a house call to Fulton and wins $20,000 plus all of the lap money. He led the last 196 laps to get the win. Now, Shane and Vern and I were talking up here, and it seemed like everybody was with him, but then all of a sudden, Danny Johnson pulled away. My theory, he was saving his tires, waiting for the lap counter to keep clicking. We'll find out, though, as Shane Andrews will go down and chat with the Victoria 200 winner, Danny Johnson. 9 cars unofficially on the lead lap. McCreadie second, Decker third, Payne fourth, Coffey fifth, Fuller sixth, Hearn seventh, Pat Ward eighth, Chuck Bauer ninth. Shane Andrews is down trackside. We'll send it to Shane.
All right, thank you very much, Doug Elkins, Danny Johnson, Sweeteners Plus, 27J, Prudential Securities Machine, gracing Victory Lane here at the Victoria 200 for the year 2000. Well, it's a Johnson in Victory Lane once again for the second year in a row. Down here talking to his crew and Corey Reed. We are going to bring the doctor out in just a moment. Tim McCreadie congratulating Danny Johnson on his run. All right. Down here, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 15th edition of the Victoria 200, Danny Johnson. Vic Coffey, his teammate, coming over to give him the thumbs up. Danny Johnson winning the Victoria 200. Tommy Greco, his crew chief, coming out here to congratulate him. High fives all around from the crew. Danny Johnson, you have finally won the Victoria 200. Tell us how it feels.
It feels awesome. I tell you, it's great to be able to get my name in a record book for the Victoria 200 and, be associated with such a great race. And, it's a pleasure to be here. I got to thank the Sweetener Plus team for, such a great ride. And, Billy Cohen for coming over and helping us making the right decisions after the first 100 to get her hooked up for the second 100. So everything worked out real well for us.
You picked your line so well through lap traffic. What was the strategy going into that?
You're just, the luck of the Lord on that deal. You don't know where they're going, and you just got to try to make a hole and get by them so the guy behind you doesn't get by you. So it's a tough deal when you get to lap traffic.
In the first portion of the race, the high side, you were up on top, and then the second half, you went down low. What changes did you make in the car that you had to go down low?
Well, we made a couple small changes with the car, but what happened, the track just went away on top. The top got so far around that the bottom was quicker because it was just a shorter distance to travel.
This has been a phenomenal year for you, and the momentum going into Super Dirt Week is unbelievable. And this just brings it up another notch for this team, doesn't it?
It sure does. I tell you, it sure does. It's putting the icing on the cake for the small block part of it, and we've still got a couple more shows, and we're still gonna hit them as hard as we can. And we just I gotta thank everybody from Dirt and here at Fulton Speedway for putting on this show and the entire series. So it's a great deal.
You used to be called 6 Grand Dan. Now it's 20 Grand Dan. $20,000 for this win. Wow.
Yeah, I tell you, it sure is incredible. And I want to thank everybody here for making it possible. And also, it's actually going to be a little more than 20 with all the laps that we've led. But it sure is going to be a great deal for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 15th edition of the Victoria 200, the Dr. Danny Johnson.
Yeah, we need to get that ready.
Tim McCreadie, I'll tell you what, man, you drove yourself a heck of a race. Last 3 years here in this race, 2 seconds and a third. A phenomenal record for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, this track seems to adapt. I adapt with the track, or it adapts with me. I don't know. Maybe it's just I keep finding that squirrel or something. I don't know, but we're getting lucky.
Well, I'll tell you what, you drove your heart out there. Lap traffic seemed to be the difference in the race.
Yeah, it was maybe a little mistake on my part. I kind of put a little more stagger on it on the brake just to free it up, and it took us a little longer to get going. And Danny made a couple of right moves in lap traffic, and he's tough enough as it is, and much less to get 3 or 4 moving chicanes in behind him.
Now, looked like you were a tick faster in the middle portion of the last 100 laps, but just couldn't seem to get by. The car wanted to stay low when you drifted out to the middle groove. It seemed to push a little bit.
Yeah, I think it started laying a little rubber, maybe getting in just enough to tighten it up. And, you know, like I said, this Troyer car ran really good here tonight. You know, Billy Colton helped us out to keep it up front. And, you know, Roger and the guys, we had a brake problem in the heat race, and they fixed that. So, I mean, they keep it going, so.
Congratulations, a fine run.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Tim McCreadie, driver of the Hru Motorsports, number 21, second place finish here this year. Third place, Billy Decker down here. Hey, man, a new car. You guys really put on a great show tonight coming from the 20th position. Had to pass a lot of good cars to get up here.
Yeah, it certainly did. You know, I can't thank Bob and Michelle Faust enough for this B&F General Machines car. It was something we wanted to do for quite a while now. They gave me the opportunity, and we had a good race. The car was pretty good. The only downfall we had, we just didn't go as good on that last restart, and it ended up being a long green, and we were slow holding Timmy up a little bit. We got Timmy in traffic, and we were probably holding him up for a while, and then he cleared us, just fading a little bit there at the end. I'd like to have another restart just to see if we could be going in the other direction instead of the direction we were going in, but we're happy, you know. Right out of the box like this Victoria race is very special. The fans are very special here, and just had a lot of fun tonight.
On the break, did you make any, we were talking earlier, do you have any second guesses, wish you could have done something different, maybe made the car a tick better?
Well, I'm sure everybody from second on back would have made some changes to their car again, you know. Dan, I'm sure, was pretty happy. He was really going good at the end. And, you know, I'd have made some more changes. We made some changes, just chasing our tail a little bit, trying to find out what this car likes, and the track's changing a little bit. Naturally, we made some changes. Hopefully, we get a little better in the third, but don't misunderstand me. We're very happy, and I got a great team, and I'm just tickled to be part of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Third place, Billy Decker in the B&F General Machine, number 1. All right, hey, Roger. Thank you. Tim Fuller down here, driving McKinney Drugs, number 19. Let's get a word with him. Tim, last year coming in as the defending champion, the race didn't end like you wanted to, ended up crashing out or breaking, I should say. Today, a little bit different circumstances for you. Got to be pleased with your run overall.
Yeah, definitely I am. You know, I really thought when we come back out there for that second 100, starting fourth, you know, I thought we'd be a little bit better than we did. But the middle never come around for me and my car. I mean, other guys could do it, but I was limited to the bottom. Danny Johnson and Timmy McCreadie and Billy Decker, you know, they really run good out there, and they could get through the traffic a little better than me. But